Este es el podcast de Conexión, un espacio para contar una nueva historia donde el emprendimiento, la creatividad y el entretenimiento lideran la conversación.
Hi, it's David here from the Instinto podcast, and today we're with
Chris Knight from Roc Nation Management.
Chris. Many people tend to think that entrepreneurship is all about technology, and that's a common misconception that's been happening for a while now. And one of the things I try to do with my podcast is try to illustrate people and tell them that entrepreneurship can be a musician, that an entrepreneur is also someone that owns a clothes brand. So I want to understand how important is business acumen for artists to be successful in their careers.
That's a great question. We sometimes make this joke in the music business about LSD, called lead singer's disease, where you want the artist to be really tapped into that part of their brain that makes them creative and makes them think differently, come up with different ideas, what makes them really good at being an artist. The problem with that is that they're really focused on that and not really good about sort of just the normal day-to-day life sort of things, which is why they have managers and other sorts of things. If you're business focused, you're probably not very creative focused. I'm not saying for everybody, but probably. So I think you want your artists to be as creative as possible. And then hopefully they're smart enough to hire good teams of entrepreneurs and smart business people that can help them build and take their vision to the next level.
And have you met entrepreneurs that have this ability? Like, have you met any entrepreneur that is very good at business, but is also very good at music? And if so, what are the characteristics that they have in common?
Yeah, like a guy like Jimmy Iovine, for example, was really good on both sides. So Jimmy Iovine started as a music and record producer, and then later started Beats and was part of Apple and a whole bunch of different things. So his business side was really good. I think it's because he knew how to speak to artists. He was an artist himself, but he had that business side and that business acumen, so he was able to speak both languages. Those kinds of entrepreneurs are the ones that I really like, you know?
And one question: when we're talking about talent, there's a lot of talent here in Latin America that's trying to be successful. They're trying to start their career. What have you seen are the most common mistakes that artists make when they're starting their careers that just trump their success?
I think a lot of times artists try and model themselves after somebody else. And that's not going to work because that person that they're modeling themselves after already exists. And if we want them, we'll just go and listen to that person. I think it's really important that the artists, again, are entrepreneurial spirits and are trying to come up with what is their own thing, what is their own voice, like what makes them different from everybody else. Because if they're not different, we don't really need them, you know?
Technology has been advancing a lot in the last years, and also the role of artists has evolved, mainly with like direct contact with fans, with social media and everything that's happening. You have been in the industry for a while now, many years. I saw that even before Roc Nation, you had many artist management jobs. I want to understand a little bit about how has the artist role evolved as technology has advanced and as social media has been more present in our lives.
How's the artist changed?
Yes. Like, what are the skills necessary to be successful now as an artist, and what
Great
was
question.
needed
Great question.
back then?
So taking it way back to like, I don't know, Motown, or like when it was, the artist only really had to be good at songwriting and performing. That's it, right? They go in the studio. Can you perform your song? Can you bring it to life? And can you be convincing as a recording? That's it, right? Generally speaking, I don't want to say that's it. But now we also ask him to do that. But we also ask him to be charismatic and go on social media and be an entertainer. We also ask him to have a clothing line. We also ask him to do 10 other things that they never had to do before. So an artist to be successful now really has to embrace all those different sides of entertainment, the way they didn't really have to do so maybe 30 years ago.
And when do they have to do those sort of things? Because one of the things I saw in one of the conversations we had earlier on is that focus is very necessary. When is it the good timing to have a clothing brand and start branching out from the artist and the music itself?
That's a great question. I think every artist is different, and every artist's path to getting there is going to be different. I think what I've always tried to do is see what the fans are reacting to. If you put out a t-shirt and nobody buys it, then maybe a clothing line's not the way you should be doing it. You know, maybe you're pushing something that they don't want. If you're putting out a video on TikTok and they really resonate with that, that's where you should put your time and energy. And it could be something else. It could be something we don't even know yet. But I think, you have to react to what the fans are interested in, and then you can make a decision from there.
There's an artist that we all know from this city, and I think he's a really great entrepreneur. I think he has done many great things. He has paved the way for many artists. Why do you think he has been so successful? I'm speaking about J Balvin, obviously. Why has he been so successful in his career?
A lot of reasons, but one of the most important is that he works really hard. He works just as hard as now as I think he did when he was first starting, and there was no other option. He was going to be a musician, and that was it. He was going to figure out how to make it work, and he would not take no for an answer. And he kept working, and it started to grow and grow, and he still has that same passion. He still is hungry today to grow and do different things and challenge himself as he was at the very beginning. That's what makes him still continue to be successful.
And do you have any predictive pathways that maybe indicate if an artist is going to be successful? Can you see it at first glance, or is it something that takes time to maybe discover in an artist?
So for me, it's two different things. One is the music good? Is the music compelling? Is it new? Is it interesting? Is it something that's perked my interest that I'm interested in? And then that's number one. Number two is, have you ever gone into a room and there's just someone who just has got energy and they suck the energy in the air to them? That's the kind of energy that I want from my musicians, because I know that the rest of the things they're going to do is going to translate. And if they don't have it, it's not to say impossible, but that sort of intangible energy and that aura around a person, I think is a very good indicator of their future success.
I also have a question about that, and music industry is very passionate. It's about passion. It's about what you like. Is it possible to train your ear to listen to an artist of a genre you don't like, you don't enjoy, and you don't think it's good music, and identify if he has talent or not?
I think it's definitely possible, for sure. You'd have to immerse yourself in that style of music so you know what's good and what's not. But I think that's possible. Sure.
You've been in Roc Nation for 6 years now, if I'm not wrong. Maybe more, maybe a little bit less. I want to know, why do you think that Roc Nation, aside from being JC or whoever started the company, why do you think it has been so successful as a company?
Ooh. I think goes back to the work ethic. The people and our founders of Roc Nation are tireless. They work constantly. They want to build. They want to grow. One of my mentors at the company said, listen, we came from nothing. So there is no failure. All of this is gravy. All of this is success. So we just continue to go because no one's telling us no. We just continue to grow and continue to push because we've already won. We've already succeeded.
When you start a company, processes are somehow artisanal. You have to start with handcrafted things and you start evolving. I want to know, what process have you crafted to print the DNA of Roc Nation into every artist you work with?
Definitely don't do that. Not something that we do. Every artist should be their own artist and be their own creative vision and their own inspiration. And our job as music managers there is just to help them grow their own thing. They don't need to be Roc Nation artists. They're their own thing.
Okay, I get it.
That's not part of something that we would.
Do you provide any structure to the business side of music, not to the creative side, but as to how they manage finance, the relationship with marketing, with fans, or is it very organic?
Very organic. Each artist is going to be its own business and its own team, and we encourage them to have their own team. We don't want them just to be Roc Nation people. We want them to have a big creative team and do their own thing.
I was talking to you earlier, and you said that artist managers are definitely entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I want to speak about you a little bit. What are the main lessons you have learned as an artist manager, as an entrepreneur, that you think have brought you here?
I think for me personally, I'm generally a curious person. I want to learn. I want to know more things. There's certain areas of the business that I had no idea about. And so I went and learned as much as I could about that academically. And then I met people in that field and they taught me more. And then I try and reach new people in that particular field. One of the things I'm passionate about is figuring out how artists get paid and the royalty system and how the money flows.
That's very confusing. I speak
Very
with one of my
confusing.
friends
Yeah.
about royalties and stuff, and that's very
Yeah,
confusing.
it's very confusing. And even people in the music business don't understand how it works.
That's why
And-
all of these scandals happen, and
Yeah.
people say, "Oh, they ripped me off," but not true. They
Yeah.
just didn't know how to read a contract and the terms of the contract and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's too. I think people are ripping them off, actually.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure. I think the people who are smart enough to know where it is are taking advantage of people that don't know, you know?
But I think there's I don't think if it's necessarily bad. Like, it is bad you're trying to rip people off, but it's also necessary for people to train themselves to understand if they're getting ripped off or not.
I agree. I think artists should learn the basics, like learn how to read your contract, understand how the basic works so that you know, no matter who's your representatives, that you always are in good hands and you know what it is.
Chris, thank you for this interview. It was very nice. It's my first interview in English. I was a bit nervous,
Oh,
but
yeah.
everything went well. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. It was a very short conversation, but I
all
would love
good.
to keep in contact.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, dude.